All right, guys, it's time for probably nobody's favorite part of the show. This is the worst of the week. This week's worst of the week is comic. Ooh, it's hard to say. That's part of what makes it the worst of the week. Is it's Chronic Con, episode 420, A New Dope. You know, saying that out loud to you guys, I am very embarrassed that I watched this movie. So here's the deal. This is a movie from Doug Benson. And if you don't know Doug Benson, I'm not necessarily surprised. If you, like me, are a big podcast listener and alternative comedy fan, you know who Doug Benson is. He's a comedian, and he hosts a couple of podcasts, the most famous being Doug Loves Movies. I'm sure you're shocked to hear that I sometimes listen to a podcast called Doug Loves Movies, which is sort of a talk show, game show thing where Doug has a number of guests on and they talk about movies. Now, what you wouldn't know about Doug from this is that Doug really likes marijuana. That said, I am not necessarily endorsing that by any stretch of the imagination, but it's important to know for this, if only to explain the really stupid title. Here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of pot humor. I never have been. But I like Doug's other humor, so I thought this documentary where he goes to Comic-Con would be something interesting. This is part of a series of documentaries he's doing that essentially apes documentaries already made by Morgan Spurlock. So Spurlock did that Super Size Me about how McDonald's is bad for you. Well, Doug Benson did Super High Me, right? Morgan Spurlock did a Comic-Con documentary. This is Benson's Comic-Con documentary. Here's the thing, it's not good, guys. Probably the best part of it is that a large portion of this documentary portrays one of his podcast tapings, a taping of Doug Loves Movies, but this time on film. So that was fun. I liked seeing that. It featured some comedians I liked, like Scott Aukerman. But the rest of it, where he sort of walks around Comic-Con and interviews people, isn't terribly interesting. What makes this truly the worst of the week, outside of, like I say, that really embarrassing name, has got to be the interminable end. You know, the movie is watchable enough for most of its running time, but then the last 20 minutes are a marijuana-fueled rambling around town that makes absolutely no sense and just goes on forever and ever and drags seemingly without end. It's truly interminable. As for the movie itself, like I say, I got some joy from watching the part of Doug's act that I do like, that podcast taping, but I found the rest of it a very frustrating movie. That's why it's this week's worst of the week, and that's why it's getting 2 stars.